Today, we will talk about a world that history books usually pass over in silence, yet one that changed the fate of Europe from the shadows. A world where not swords, but pieces of paper brought down empires, where not kings, but bankers determined destinies. This is the story of financial spies who walked silently through the dark streets of the Middle Ages. A whisper overheard by a dockworker, a secret letter read by a monk, an invisible network built by a banking family. Sometimes, a single piece of information was worth more than millions in gold. In this video, you will witness how families like the Medici and the Fugger ruled the world not only with money, but with information, from the cold nights of Venice to the wealthy palaces of Florence. Why did some banks collapse overnight, while others emerged from the same chaos even stronger? How could kings remain on their thrones without paying their debts, while bankers quietly won everything? If you are curious about where real power is hidden, how the roots of capitalism were built on espionage, and why today's world resembles the Middle Ages more than we think, then this video is for you. Because now, we will look into the shadows, and there we will see the true owners of history. March 1347, a cold Venetian night. Although the port appeared calm on the surface, hundreds of hidden eyes were carefully watching every movement. As light filtered from palace windows and danced with the shadows, a man moved swiftly through narrow streets. The small piece of paper in his hand had the power to destroy one empire and elevate another to its peak. He was not an ordinary courier, but a professional financial spy of his era, carrying information worth millions. The true face of the Middle Ages was not limited to sword fights and devout monks. Real power was hidden in the shadows, in financial and information wars. This era, which history books usually pass over in silence, was in fact the arena of Europe's first financial spies and vast monetary empires. In 14th century Florence, the right information was more valuable to a banker than the favor of kings. In centers such as Venice, Genoa, and London, survival among trading rivals required knowing everything before everyone else. It was precisely this ruthless competitive environment that laid the foundation for the first professional secret networks and espionage systems that would determine Europe's future. In medieval Europe, banking and trade were not merely economic activities, but also intense information wars. Italian city-states such as Venice, Florence, and Genoa were forced to build espionage networks in order to gain control over trade routes while competing with one another. Because in that era, being informed meant staying one step ahead of rivals, and thus surviving. The most successful representative of this system, the Medici family, owed its power not only to financial literacy, but also to the extraordinary information network it built. They had eyes and ears all over Europe. These were not official bank employees, but ordinary people such as those working in courts, dockworkers, and monks. Through these hidden sources, the Medici gathered critical information about royal plans, the financial troubles of rival merchants, and political maneuvers in papal elections. Historical sources show that for both Florence and Venice, information was considered the most valuable trading asset. The Medici family used a private courier network to immediately convert acquired intelligence into economic gain. By conducting strategic analyses, for example, they would learn in advance about famine in France and purchase grain, or refrain from lending money to kings planning wars, thereby minimizing financial risk. On the other hand, the Republic of Venice elevated espionage to the level of official state policy. A secret organization called the Council of Ten, Consiglio dei Dei, maintained agents everywhere, from the Ottoman court to European kingdoms. Information obtained through this intelligence network played a decisive role in shaping state trade decisions. Venetian merchants demonstrated great skill in protecting confidential information through the use of encrypted letters. Each family had its own unique cryptographic system, making the contents unreadable even if the letters fell into the wrong hands. They used the Greek alphabet, specially created symbols, or deceptive methods such as hiding information in the first letter of every eighth word. At the same time, espionage and double agents played a significant role within the banking system. By bribing individuals working for rival families, such as the Medici and the Pazzi, internal information was obtained. These spies often sold information to both sides, delivering more accurate intelligence to whoever paid more. Lack of information or weak intelligence sometimes led to major financial disasters. A clear example of this is the collapse of the Bardi and Peruzzi banks of Florence in the 1340s. They had lent such vast sums to King Edward III of England to finance the 100 Years' War that his failure to repay led to their complete downfall. In 1345, Edward III's official declaration that he could not repay his debts caused a massive shock to Florence's financial system. Immediately afterward, the Bardi and Peruzzi banks collapsed, mass unemployment emerged, and the city's economy plunged into deep crisis. However, the Medici family and some smaller bankers were aware of the approaching danger through their secret sources within the English court. By withdrawing their capital in time, they not only avoided disaster but also strengthened their position by purchasing the assets of the failed banks at low prices. This historical event proves that in the Middle Ages, material wealth alone was insufficient for success. Strategic information and correct timing were paramount. In the 15th and 16th centuries, the Fugger family, which dominated Europe's financial and political stage, possessed the greatest wealth and the most extensive information network of its time. Jacob Fugger, known as Jacob the Rich, was not merely a banker, but a power center determining the fate of popes and emperors. Through information manipulation, they learned in advance the voting preferences of cardinals in the Vatican and financed future popes in exchange for strategic privileges, such as controlling the Vatican's financial resources. The Fugger family's influence was not limited to the Church. They were also deeply involved in the internal affairs of the Holy Roman Empire. By learning through spies which candidates the princes would support, the family used bribery when necessary to alter election outcomes in their favor. It was precisely due to the Fugger family's financial backing and intelligence power that Charles V was able to ascend to the imperial throne. In the 15th and 16th centuries, Europe's financial and political destiny was largely in the hands of the Fugger family. This banking dynasty, especially Jacob Fugger, controlled a fortune comparable to hundreds of billions of dollars in today's terms. The secret of their success lay not merely in piles of money, but in a vast information network spanning all of Europe and far ahead of its time. The Fugger family manipulated information to play a decisive role in the election of emperors and popes. Through agents embedded within the Vatican, they learned cardinals' secret voting plans in advance and offered financial support to future popes before their election. This strategic move granted them extraordinary authority to profit from church property and manage the Vatican's financial resources after the election. A similar information game existed within the Holy Roman Empire. The Fugger family knew precisely which prince would vote for whom and, at the right moment, activated bribery mechanisms to change outcomes in their favor. Even Charles V's rise to the imperial throne was a direct result of both Fugger money and their intelligence network. Historically, espionage has been an important tool used for both commercial and state interests. Merchants relied on dockworkers and even romantic relationships to learn about ship cargoes and family secrets. During the Renaissance, states like Venice systematized this activity through secret police forces and anonymous complaint boxes. While this environment created deep distrust in society, the race for rapid information also contributed to the development of the economy and trade. Information has always been the greatest advantage in both political and economic fields throughout history. For example, learning in advance about a king's health or the identity of the next pope meant securing future favors and profits through strategic aid and investments. These hidden activities and exchanges of information gradually contributed to the formation of international trade rules, contract law, and modern banking systems in Europe. Medieval financial spies were not merely accumulating wealth. They laid the foundations of the future capitalist system, revealing a reality in which information turned into money and money into absolute power. Despite 21st century innovations such as artificial intelligence and cryptocurrencies, the reality that information is the most valuable asset remains unchanged. The information secretly carried by spies in the Middle Ages is today transmitted through computer screens and complex cryptographic algorithms. The common point between both eras is the same: obtaining information before everyone else to secure advantage and profit. Historical lessons show us that true power lies not only in military strength, but in possessing the right strategic information. The stories of financial spies from the past prove that the path to understanding the future lies in recognizing the importance of this strategic knowledge. Thank you for watching us. If this topic was interesting to you, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and activate notifications. In the upcoming videos on this channel, we will take a deeper look at history, economics, and the major processes shaping the world. Your opinions are important to us as well. Share your thoughts in the comments. Remember, those who understand the past build the future more correctly.